Look at all that gas pouring from my carbs. Now if I was a typical vintage motorcycle rider, I might be a little bit panicked by this, but fortunately I know exactly how to fix this problem. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that today. First thing we're going to do, take off the seat, take off the tank, and pull out the airbox. Alright, that wasn't too hard. Now we're going to remove these carbs. These carbs on this Yamaha Sika 2 are really easy to remove. All you gotta do is disconnect this fuel line, disconnect these throttle cables here, and disconnect, I believe, one vacuum line. Nope, no vacuum line. Then just unscrew them from their intake manifold boots, and they're just gonna pop right out. So I'm gonna do that. Alright, got my carbs out. Now I'm gonna go and drain them. All you gotta do to do that is just hold them upside down, but be sure to drain them into a proper receptacle. They say that the ozone depleting gases that come just out of evaporating unburnt gas are worse than actually burning the gas, and so I try and capture the gas before it evaporates, and I go and take it to my local dump station before it can go into the atmosphere. So I suggest you guys do the same. And don't do that. Alright, so in order to fix a leaking carburetor like the one that I have, you have to understand how a carburetor works and why it would be leaking. It's possible that it could be leaking from a damaged or corroded hose. Maybe, you know, your fuel filter got disconnected or whatever. Those are all possibilities. However, 9 times out of 10, leaky carbs like that are going to be leaking because of a sticky float needle or damaged floats. And this is how you fix it, and this is how it works. Basically, I have my 4 carbs here. These are upside down, and these are the bowls. In each one of these bowls, I have a float. That's my bowl. When the carbs are like this, the carbs typically will sit like this, so upside down, just like that. Okay, so that's my bowl. I have my gas intake that comes in through here, and this usually goes off and connects to other carbs, goes off like that. And then this is the main gas line right here. There you go. Alright. Oops, it's all messed up. Okay. So what we have here is a small hinge. Now you're looking at it sort of like at head on, right? And then you have that which pivots on this hinge is a float. Typically you'll have 2 floats. So there's like 1 here and then 2. So you have 2 floats, right? And gas pours in through here. Okay? When the level rises, what you have that comes up through here, bring it closer so you guys can see it, is a needle. And it is sort of like a pyramid shaped thing that goes through here. And it's connected to the arm of the floats. So when the gas rises, this needle is pushed up into here, and it closes off this valve here. When you burn the gas, see, you also have like your jets come up, and this goes to the engine. So the gas exits through here and gets mixed with the air, and it burns. Obviously, the level of the gas in the bowls will go down, and so these floats will lower, and this needle goes down, and gas is permitted to flow back in here and fill up again. It's actually a really simple system, and it works really well. However, sometimes you'll get a couple of problems. This will get all corroded in here, and it'll get all gummed up, and so the needle will either stay closed and you don't get any gas, or it'll stay open and you'll get too much gas. Also, sometimes in here, ham-fisted mechanics will damage this part right here, and so it can't really pivot all that well. Also, sometimes really old floats will get perforated and they'll fill up with gas and they just sort of sink to the bottom like that. So these can be problems, because with too much gas coming in, it will fill all the way up and it will overflow, and you'll typically have an overflow which goes down like that. So when there's too much gas that goes out the overflow, and it just spills all over your bike, and that's what's happening with my bike. And so basically I have to figure out which one of the four is leaking, and I have to either clean it up. I'd say a good 9 times out of 10 all it really requires is a good cleaning, but I may have to replace some parts with a carb rebuild kit. But I'm going to open up each float bowl, try and identify which one is the problem. I do that by physically moving these floats up and down, by checking. There's a tiny little spring mounted nipple in right here on the edge of the needle, and that nipple needs to be able to spring back and forth, and so if I have a nipple that's not springing, that could be a problem too. So I'm basically just going to figure out which one is which, and show you guys what I find out. Alright, now here's something that I found. I've got my two middle ones open, and you can see when I just flick this one up, it falls right down. It's very easy for this float to move up and down. See these two floats here? This is sort of a top view, and this is a side view, but that's these two floats here. This is the arm mechanism. That's this arm mechanism. This is the side view of this sort of axle that this thing pivots on. See? Just like what this was here. And then underneath this is a tongue that presses on the needle. It's a little bit difficult to explain because this is sort of an under view and this is a side view, but hopefully you guys get it. So anyway, you can see this one has nice and clean movement, right? But check this one. It sticks. So it doesn't move up and down. And this is probably my problem. So basically I'm going to take this apart, and I think that the problem is actually in this bar that runs across, which is the axis. This thing right here, so it probably got damaged. So I'm going to take it out, try and bend it back, maybe sand it down a little bit, and see if I can salvage it, because I definitely don't want to have to, it's not typically a replacement part, and so I definitely don't want to have to buy all new carbs just for that itty bitty little pin. So let me pull it out and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Alright, so working at it, let me try and focus for you guys. Working at it, I discovered that the pin is so jammed in there, and I'm not sure what exactly happened to it, but somebody must have grabbed it with some vice grips and then just jammed it right back in there, and it just got stuck in there. And so I was lightly, what you can do is sort of lightly tap on it from this side and try and shove it out, but you don't want to tap too hard because these arms here are cast aluminum, and if you break them, you got to buy all new carbs, or at least this one carb body. So I definitely do not want to break this. So I'm not going to go whacking at it with my hammer, but what I did was try to ease it out. It didn't come out, not nearly as well as this one did. It's just not coming, and so rather than break it, I just sort of wiggled it loose, you know, tried to mess around with it a little bit. It's definitely doing better. You can see that's how that one moves. That's how that one moves. So hopefully all it was just hung up just a little bit, and now I've loosened it, and yeah, it's been good ever since I loosened it. So hopefully that's all it is. So what I'm going to do is button these carbs back up, throw them back on the bike, and see what happens. One more thing, this is actually a really good time for you to do just a general carb cleaning in of itself, and I'm going to put a link up showing you all how to do that. And finally, one other source of carb leakage is actually when these gaskets around the float bowls get old and worn down, sort of like these ones are. they might leak out from around here, and that's why you need to screw your screws down really tight, but do not strip them, else you'll end up like that poor screw right there, which I had to release through vice grips, which is really a last resort, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, that also happens, but typically it's something like this. It's something in this armature here. So hopefully this fixes it. And now, dry as a bone. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the way that it is done.